You're listening to Potty Mouth Radio, the home of movies, music, television, and comedy. We watch a thing. We watch a thing. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to We Watched a Thing with Billy and Dave. Dave has about 7 olives in his martini, so I can tell he's going to be in a cheeky mood tonight. How you doing, mate?
I am good, my friend. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad, actually. I'm not too bad. I'm curious to hear your opinions on this one. You and I have spoken a little bit about, never actually on the show proper have we spoken about the John Wick franchise, but I do know that your opinion is similar to mine in that neither of us are massive fans.
I think it's perfectly fine. I think none of them are bad films. I think there are some, if you like action... This is, if you like action, you've already seen these films. But if you like action, these are fun films. But they are not the fucking be-all and end-all that, some people seem to think they are. And
they're
don't
not
understand.
The Rock or Con Air, so...
Well, no, I mean, they're not Hobbs and Shaw. I don't understand the reverence that some people have for them. I don't think they're that good. I think it's a fine franchise, but I think they're the kind of shtick that Stahelski and David Leitch kind of, they didn't create it, but they kind of made it a thing with the first John Wick. This kind of gun martial art. It's almost like the gun fu from what's it called? The Christian Bale film. The
Machinist?
No. No. Fuck. Oh, shit. What is it? Where it's the future thing where emotions are a crime and you're not allowed to... Oh, one-word title. I'm going to edit this fucking embarrassing thought process out. The kind of gung fu, was around before, but they really kind of distilled it in this franchise. But I think it's been done better since, and I think the kind of Stahelski-Leitch partnership in that first John Wick film, they're both ex-stunt guys, and this was kind of their foray into directing. And they, after the rules, etc., they weren't allowed to be co-credited as directors. So David Leitch, I think, just got a producer credit or something. But they directed it together, and then went their separate ways. And Stahelski obviously stayed with the franchise and did John Wick 2, John Wick 3, John Wick 4, blah 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 blah. David Leitch went off to Atomic Blonde, Bullet Train, and doing his own stuff, The Fall Guy, etc. I am a lot warmer on the David Leitch side of the fence. I think Atomic Blonde is far better than any film in the John Wick franchise. I think Nobody, which Leitch produced, is a better film than anything in the John Wick franchise. And...
I saw a trailer for Nobody 2 when I saw this, and it didn't look great.
I'm looking forward to it. Oh, fucking hell. I've alienated people before saying this. The reason those films are better, other than the fact that I personally find the stories more interesting, is that Keanu Reeves is a fucking terrible actor. And when he is the middle of your franchise... You've got an arm tied behind your back. He's one of the greatest humans on the planet. I'm not having a go at Keanu. We all love him. He is a phenomenal person, but he's as wooden as fuck. He's a terrible actor. Always has been. He has never acted really well. He's had a few moderate highs with things like Street Kings, but at the end, he is not a good actor, and that hamstrings the John Wick franchise. So I was very much looking forward to a John Wick film that didn't have John Wick. I was going
to say, let's get into it then. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this one, given that this is the first spin-off of the John Wick franchise.
I'm glad you said the first, because from the sounds of it, there's about 4 others fucking down the pipeline.
Let's see. So Ballerina, marketed as From the World of John Wick, Ballerina, is a 2025 American action thriller film directed by Len Wiseman and written by Shay Hatton. There is a bit of controversy around that, though. Rumours are that, and nobody... In all the rumours, no one knows the reason why. Reportedly, Stahelski oversaw 2 to 3 months of reshoots, refilming the majority of the film with Wiseman not present. However, both Stahelski and Wiseman deny that, saying it was about 2 weeks and that they were both on set.
That was very... That went like wildfire through sort of the movie press, and it is reportedly complete bullshit.
I mean,
from what both of them are saying, there were things that they wanted to do in the film that were in the script that they didn't have the budget to do, and the studio liked what they saw from the early cuts and gave them more money, and they were able to go back and reshoot those. It was nothing to do with Len Wiseman is shit at action, and so they had to get the fucking godhead that is Stahelski to come in and fucking save the day. That's apparently complete bullshit. It was widely reported, and I've got no issues with the people who went out there saying that, because I believe that, we all believe that, because that was the scuttlebutt, but it's apparently completely untrue.
Yeah. So let's get into it. It, of course, stars Ana de Armas, Gabriel Byrne, Catalina Sandino Moreno, and Norman Reedus, as well as Angelica Houston, Lance Reddick, Ian McShane, and Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Angelica Houston's second build, I think, which is wild to me. That's crazy.
Well, I mean, who else? Who do you second bill in this film?
Gabriel Byrne.
No.
He is your bad guy. He's got more screen time by far than Angelica Houston.
Name one movie ever where the villain is second billed.
I can give you movies where the villain is first billed.
That's an entirely different beast. I didn't ask for first build. First build villain is different. Second build villain, not happening.
Is Alan Rickman's got more screen time?
Second build on Die Hard? Who's second build on Die Hard?
To be fair, this was the first feature film Alan Rickman was ever in.
Alan Rickman is second build on Die Hard.
Woohoo! Go in, Spinner.
Yeah, okay, all right. So I guess there is precedent when it is like quite a large villain role.
I only say that because it was weird to me. Angelica Houston, I mean, I adore Angelica Houston. She is phenomenal talent. She comes from Hollywood royalty. But she is not a marquee name. This is not the era of Prizzi's Honor or anything. She has not done a lot for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, okay.
It's
but I mean,
weird. She doesn't have the cachet to justify having that second billing when she has so little screen time.
None of the actors outside of... I mean, Gabriel Byrne doesn't have that kind of cachet
Ian
either.
McShane's got more screen time than Angelica Houston in this.
Yeah. So let's get into it then. So I must admit, I know that I say I'm not a John Wick fan. From memory, I've only seen the first one. I definitely haven't seen the last two. I may have seen John Wick 2. I'm not sure. And I thought it was fine, which is why I didn't continue to the rest of the franchise. So I did not... And this movie has actually made me curious to go watch the rest. Because what I will say is my memory of John Wick... None of them
are bad films.
My memory of the first John Wick is that it was fine, but it was too kind of gritty and grim and blah, blah, blah.
Oh, they get sillier. Each successive one, the world gets sillier.
This is a comic book movie that just happens to not be based on a comic book.
Yeah, completely.
This is essentially Black Widow, basically. We've seen this plot even before. This is basically Red Sparrow.
Red Sparrow. This is not original stuff.
I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I really, really enjoyed this movie. I liked it a lot. It's made me curious to go back and watch the rest of the John Wicks, because if they do kind of transgress into this, which I'm guessing they do, because I didn't even know that John Wick was related to this whole kind of Russian tribe. I don't remember ever seeing Angelica Houston.
The first John Wick is akin to the first Fast and the Furious. It's a fairly grounded revenge flick. And it's good. I like it. I like all the films in this franchise. I know I enjoy needling this franchise because Paul Brazulla thinks it's the greatest thing in sliced bread. And so I, of course, at every breath try and take it down a peg because I'm contrarian. I like poking fun at him.
Yeah.
But it is a solid franchise. There are no bad entries. It is all fine. I find the world increasingly silly. And you say comic book
it's a very silly film. Yeah, it's a comic book film.
From the first film, which is weird because, God, I've blanked on his name. the guy that created this franchise, it's not Stahelski, he just directed it. The guy that created it and wrote it, and he wrote the first 3 John Wick films. Not John Wick 4. He wrote the first,
Derek
John
Kolstad.
Wick. Yes.
Yeah.
I was going to say Brad, but not Brad. Derek. He wrote, John Wick 2, 3, Parabellum or whatever it's called.
He did the story for, yeah.
And then after that, he's credited as a writer, but it is that thing where it's, based on characters by. He went off and wrote, if memory serves, Nobody, etc. So he went off to the David Leitch camp and worked on those films and wrote Nobody. I think he wrote Nobody 2, and I think
he did.
There's another Odenkirk film coming that's not linked to the Nobody films, but sounds very similar in tone.
Called Normal.
Yeah. So he went off there. So I'm assuming that he had a vision for this world, given that he wrote the first 3. I'm sure he didn't just write the first one, try and sell it, and then go, shit, I need to expand on this. He must have had some sort of an idea about this world, which is this hyper-real world where organised crime basically runs the fucking planet, from what I can tell. Yeah. And they have this weird...
Oh, man, I don't know if this happens in other films, but the moments where, they're, upping the hit on people and everyone's getting alerts on their phone. I'm like, wow. So there's an underground hitman app. This is wild.
I am not an expert on this franchise. Paul may correct me on this, but I don't think there is a single instance in any of these films where you see any sort of law enforcement whatsoever. Mm-hmm. This is not the real world. Apart from the first John Wick, where I believe, is it Willem Dafoe plays a cop or something who comes out to his house and is kind of semi friends with him, even though he's a retired gangster. But from memory, law enforcement is not a fucking thing that exists in this world. The high table and the rest of the gangster world run the world, and these multi-million-dollar hits are just thrown around like candy willy-nilly, and people trade gold coins. It's ridiculous. It doesn't make sense. If you pull at one thread, the entire premise of this universe falls apart. However, if you can turn your brain off, and I lump John Wick in with Fast and the Furious. I know that really offends people like Paul, but I lump it in there because it is that ridiculous a universe that none of the logic holds up. However, like Fast and the Furious, if you can turn your brain off, these films can be genuinely an enormous amount of fun. And I think
had a great time with this movie. I thought we haven't mentioned her yet.
This is my favorite. This is probably my favorite in the John Wick world franchise, more so than the Keanu films. No slide on Canoe, but partly because Ana de Armas is a better actor than Keanu Reeves. Partly because not a lot of that silly world building really exists here. This film sort of is meant to sit, I believe, between John Wick 3 and 4, or maybe contemporaneous with John Wick 3 even.
Yeah, that's my understanding of it.
Logically, it doesn't really work because you kind of early on see John Wick being excommunicated, which is what happens in I think, John Wick 3, where he breaks some rules and they go, all right, you're excommunicated, you're out. No one will assist you. You can't go to any of the fucking hotels or the armorers or all of these ridiculous things that exist in this world. Okay. No one will help you. And then 5 minutes later, Angelica Houston needs help, and so she calls John Wick and goes, you know how I kicked you out of the fucking thing? Well, I need you to come and...
See, I didn't know that. I don't believe that you actually see him get excommunicated in this film.
You see them, I think, brand his back... And it's a callback to, I think, John Wick 3, where...
Yeah, they don't make it clear what exactly is happening there.
It's one of those Disney-type things where if you haven't seen the previous film, fuck you, we don't care if you get it or not. Yeah. So I think it's John Wick 3, he gives the crucifix off his rosary to the director, Angelica Houston.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a way of saying, you owed me a favor and I'm calling it in. This makes us even. You don't owe me anything. Something along those lines. I might be fucking it up. It's complicated but silly.
Yeah.
And they heat up that crucifix, and that's what they brand him with early in Ballerina, I think. And it's a way of saying, all debts are squared. We owe you nothing. You're excommunicado. We will never help you again. And that's that branding scene. It's not explained, and you would not understand it if you hadn't seen the previous stuff. And then 40 minutes later, Angelica Houston's like, I need an assassin, and I need the best there is. Baba Yaga, come and help me. So it doesn't hold up in terms of either continuity or logic or anything like that. But fuck, the action's so much fun in this film.
Oh,
I didn't care.
Yeah.
No, in some of the John Wick ones, I genuinely cared that the world doesn't hold up. The whole coin thing, the whole premise of this world doesn't really hold up to scrutiny.
Yeah.
And you're meant to kind of let it slide because the action's really good. I find the action in most of the John Wick films fairly repetitive. It's good if you look at a movie trailer or a 2-minute segment. But it's so repetitive that I get very tired of it, that they kind of shoot them in the leg, and then when they go down, you shoot them in the head, and then the next one, you shoot them in the leg, and then you shoot them in the head, blah, 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 over and over, rinse and repeat. Some of them, there is some variation in that. There are scenes where Keanu does whole knife fights and stuff, but the action in this, I thought, was really inventive. There's a fucking entire sequence where she has nothing but a bunch of grenades, and fuck, that was awesome.
The flamethrowers was amazing. That whole flamethrower fight sequence was brilliant. I really liked as you say, the story, it falls apart if you think too hard about it. But I think that the story and the villain are really cool. The idea of this whole town, this little cult village that's, it makes for beautiful cinematography too, this snowy little alpine scene. Film. And, the scene at the diner where she first goes there and everyone starts leaving and then they all just come back with weapons. And, the moment that she goes to the kitchen hand and the kitchen hand just starts running at her with this knife, not even talking, just like trying to stab the crap out of her. It's a great sequence and it just goes from there. That entire last 45 minutes of this film where it's just her beating the crap out of this town trying to get to Gabrielle Byrne was so well executed. And it is really diverse. Like you said, it kind of kicks off with the grenade fight. Then there's a lot of hand-to-hand combat. There is some gun stuff. The flamethrowers are incredible. I thought this was a great, great movie.
And look, you know what a pedant I am for anything that doesn't logically hold up. It did not bother me that those flamethrowers did not have a gas tank or anything attached to them, and they fired for about 30 minutes without running out of juice.
They still ran out of gas, though. They still ran out.
The tiny little thing that they had on the...
Yeah.
But I didn't care because it was so fun, and it was choreographed so well.
Yeah.
And I am prepared to believe that that's all Len Wiseman. I don't hate the Underworld films. I think that there's some great action scenes in those. And the action scenes in this film, to me anyway, felt significantly different to the ones in the John Wick films, to the point where I believe I believe the story that's going out that Wiseman directed all of this and that the reshoots were because they wanted to film extra stuff, like the prequel bit with her as a child at the beginning. Because this did not feel like a John Wick film.
Yeah, even with John Wick rocking up in it, which I like. The little Canuto stuff we get in this film.
In the marketing, I would have liked it to be a little surprise.
Well, I didn't know. I haven't seen any marketing for this film, but I was not expecting to get John Wick, and I think the way that he weaves into the story is pretty cool. I like the fact that he's been there to hunt her down. I know very little about the John Wick character other than he loves his dog. So it made complete sense to me that he would accept this job to go and take her down, but wouldn't actually want to do it. Like, you know, he was never going to hurt Ana de Armas.
I don't get why he's getting a job after the events of John Wick 3. It doesn't really
someone
make
who hasn't
sense.
seen them didn't bother me.
Like the whole from John Wick 2 onwards, it's all about him being at odds with the high table and being on the run from them. The fact that he would take a job from, and it's not the high table, it is whatever they're called, the Red Sparrow Institute.
Yeah.
You know, which sits aside a little bit as the Continental does. However, it still doesn't really hold up, but fuck it, who cares? It's cool that he appears. It's cool that he doesn't want to kill her because he kind of remembers her and he's got his own moral code. It's cool that he kind of can play the clock out and go, well, you've got 30 minutes before I kind of need to kill you, so if you can knock him off before then. All of that I thought worked really well. I liked it. I thought Ana de Armas was a fucking... She's up there with Charlize Theron in
she's better.
Action film.
Yeah.
Much of a much.
Ana de Armas is better than
both
anybody
great.
on this planet.
Right.
She's the greatest.
Sydney Sweeney say, what? No, they're both great. She holds her own. What I wanted to say, though, was there are a lot of scenes where she's fighting big dudes. And normally, and I'm with our good mate Wayne on this, normally I'm there going, hey, yeah, come on, fuck off. There's no, like, I'm not being sexist, but there's no way that this little
but there was a lot of her actually getting
girl
thrown to the ground and getting hurt. Like,
and they make a point early on in the training of having her told, you cannot win in a fight of strength against a big dude. You need to lean into your strengths. You need to fight like a girl. And so you have her learning to... And she pounds some nards in this film like a fucking maniac.
Yeah.
This is up there with Maxine for curb stomping dudes ghoulies.
It's not as bad as that. Oh, that was horrific.
But I like the fact that
that was
they...
almost as bad as Something About Mary. Oh, how did you get the beans above the Frank? Good Lord.
I love the fact that they actually make a point of weaving that in. They reference it, and the fight choreography from there on really does show her either copping a beating, or doing things that are believable for someone of her stature to do against a 6 foot tall dude.
Yeah.
You know, she leans into things like speed and she's clever about her environment and things like that. So I really liked the fight choreography in this. I thought it was very, very well done.
Same. Yeah, honestly, I'm an 8 out of 10. I would watch this again. I would watch 3 more of these films.
Give me more. I love it. It leans into a sequel at the end with where she gets
watch more of
marker on her.
And it has made me curious to go back and watch the rest of the John Wick franchise. And
watch
maybe I've been
2, 3,
unfairly
and 4,
harsh
for
on
sure.
it. Yeah.
I don't know. It's not the second coming of action films, but all 3 of them are good films, and you will enjoy all 3 of them.
If they're as good as this film is, then I've maybe been unfairly harsh, and it sounds like it might be a pretty good franchise. So
none of them are bad films, and you will enjoy. You will enjoy all 3 of them enough to not regret seeing them.
Yeah, nice. You've caught some other stuff this week.
I did. I did get to The Surfer, which I was hesitantly looking forward to.
I'm looking forward to it. I still haven't got a chance.
I mean, Nic Cage, you roll the dice every time. For every colour out of space or pig, there's a Prisoners of Ghostland. It's rarely middle ground. They're always either good or terrible.
Yeah.
I was looking forward to this because I like the fact that it's set in Australia, obviously. Look, it's an odd one. So the plot of The Surfer, Nic Cage is a seemingly successful businessman who's taking a bit of a leave of absence.
Grew up in Australia? That's what I saw
he was
in the trailer.
Australia as a child, and then got moved over to the States, and he's estranged from his wife, and he's attempting to sort of maintain a bit of a bond with his teenage son, and is trying to purchase his childhood home, which is sort of on the cliffs of this beachside surfer town somewhere in Australia. It's never really specified where, but it's a good surf beach and not much apart from that. And in attempting to do all of this, he runs afoul of kind of the local surf gang, who are very much of the, as they say, not local, you don't surf, you know, fuck off. And they are headed up by Julian McMahon, who plays this, if you can imagine a cross between Bodhi from Point Break and Buddha, he's this kind of bizarre figure who swans around like a religious leader of a cult, but it's really just a bunch of criminals who like to surf. I assumed it was going to be a Nic Cage revenge flick, kind of akin to Mandy, which I very much enjoyed. However, it's not. Nic Cage is very, very good in it, I think.
Is it like a straight drama?
It's not really. It doesn't, and that's where the problem arises. It doesn't really know what it is.
Yeah, okay.
So most of the film is him versus these local toughs who are these obnoxious, very Australian sort of 20-year-olds. You know, oh, yeah, fuck you, mate. Yeah, get off my fucking beach.
Yeah.
Which is fine. Logically, it all starts to fall apart because he's in his Lexus. He drives up to this the parking lot at the top, up at the top of the ridge that goes down to the beach where the surfers go, where you can surf. It's not fucking Bondi. This is a remote surf beach.
Yeah.
He parks in that car park and doesn't leave for fucking days. It makes no sense whatsoever. He sleeps in his car. You're watching it going, you've run afoul of these locals who've told you to fuck off and they won't let you surf there, whatever. Go to your hotel. Fucking talk to the police, whatever. Why are you sleeping in your car there? It makes no sense.
Yeah.
You get to a point, and this is a bit spoilery, but I don't think the film really warrants being precious about it. About 3/4 of the way through, all the way through, there's been this kind of homeless guy handing out flyers for his lost dog at this parking area, who sleeps in his car in the car park, and he's kind of this slightly sad figure. About 3/4 of the way through, Nic Cage has kind of fallen apart to the point where a whole series of things happen where he gets injured, he loses his surfboard, he loses his phone runs out of battery, his car's run out of battery. All these things happen. The local toughs deface his car so it looks like a relic. And it gets to this point about 3/4 of the way through where you start to think, is this all in his head? Is he, in fact, that homeless guy? And he's imagined that he is this successful businessman, etc., to kind of cover up the fact that his life is in such turmoil. He's lost his family. He's lost everything. That was really intriguing. And at that point, I went, this is a great movie. And then they pull the rug out. No, that's not the case at all. It's just the fact that the fucking local toughs, headed up by Julian McMahon, were putting him through a test to see whether he was worthy of surfing at their beach. And he has now come through that test and toughed it out, and he's allowed to... It's just like, what the fuck?
Yeah, right.
It was a mediocre movie that elevated itself, and I was, oh, that's great. I like that. And then it devolved into this nonsensical plot that makes... It is ridiculous. The plot of this, when you get to the resolution at the end, it is the dumbest fucking thing I've seen in 12 months.
That's a shame. I was looking forward to it. I'll probably still check it out.
I still reckon you should watch it because Nic Cage is actually pretty good.
Yeah.
It's one of the better performances by him. It's not quite Pig, but it's fine. And the film itself is interesting enough that you won't, I don't think, get bored through it. You'll enjoy your way through, but you'll get to the end and go, fuck, that could have been so much more.
Yeah. That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
So, yeah, a little bit disappointed by that. On the flip side, I'd forgotten that Dan Trachtenberg was doing 2 Predator movies this year. So, obviously, we're all waiting for the kind of the follow-up to Prey because Prey was
good. Yeah.
Oh, fuck, was Prey good. I had completely forgotten that concurrently with making the new live-action Predator film, Danny T was also simultaneously directing an animated Predator film.
All right. I actually didn't know that.
Which is Predator Killer of Killers.
So direct to streaming, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I'm going to say it dropped. I'm not going to say more than that. But it's about... it's really fucking good. I loved this. Absolutely loved it. It's...
what kind of style animation is it?
I believe he was inspired by Arcane, the Netflix TV series, and it is very much that look. So it looks amazing. It's 3 successive stories that are kind of tied together. So you've got a story that is set with Vikings. You've got a story that is set in kind of feudal Japan, and the main character is a ninja.
Yeah.
Whose brother is a samurai, and you've got some brother rivalry there. And then you've got a World War II story where you've got a kind of a very green behind the ears Spitfire pilot.
I mean, there was a lot of talk when Prey came out. There were a heap of people being like, "Yeah, give us feudal Japan Predator, give us Predator
everyone wanted the fucking
the
ninjas.
Wild West, give us Predator." Yes, it's a cool idea to do it like this.
I do not know whether this is going to tie into his other film.
Mm-hmm.
It would seem silly if there wasn't at least some sort of tenuous link there.
Yeah.
But the way this is structured is you start with you've got these 3 distinct stories that are set in different time periods. At the conclusion of each one, you flash to the sort of protagonist of that film, and they're sitting in a spaceship somewhere with like a collar, or like some sort of a security collar on, and it's not really clear whether this was all them reliving something in their mind, or if at the conclusion of the story they find themselves there.
Right.
It is resolved in the final
no spoilers.
act. Yeah, no spoilers whatsoever.
Yep.
But the final act resolves all of that, and the final act is fucking
awesome.
Great.
All right, stop there because
highly recommended.
Going to
no more
watch
spoilers. Predator Killer of Killers. Highly recommended.
Right.
Go and see it. That was the best thing I've seen for probably the last 2-3 weeks.
Nice. I'm going to watch it this week for sure. Well, speaking of killers, next week, we're not getting to the movies. Next week, we are counting down our top 5 killer animal films. So I think that'll be an interesting one. There were a couple, you said very clearly, not monster movies.
No,
they have to be
different
animals that exist, that have not been altered genetically, scientifically, magically. They're just regular animals.
Animals that you could encounter in your everyday life if you were particularly unfortunate.
I've stretched the brief a little bit, but it's all good.
You did.
It's all good. So that'll be next week. In the meantime, if you want to get in touch with us, you can do that at pottymouthradio.com or pottymouthradio@gmail.com. Go join the Facebook listener community. Check out the Patreon page where you can get full early access to videos that we record, all of that kind of good stuff.
Whole lot of stuff. Bonus shows.
Yeah,
we've got true classics. We've got Shyamalanigans, which oh my god, we suffer for you people. Where we're watching through all of M. Night Shyamalan's travesty.
We're more than halfway through his filmography now. I think we're going to have to think of what director to do next.
Ones.
I still think we should work through all of Adam Sandler's filmography at some point.
I don't know. I love our listeners and I love our patrons especially. I don't know that I love them that much.
I think it's even more up and down than Shyamalan, though.
It's not. Well, actually, you know what?
He's done some really good films. Punch Drunk Love,
I think
Reign of Fire.
Shyamalan, I hate everything, with maybe 2 or 3 exceptions that I quite like. Sandler, I really hate everything, but I reckon there's probably 3 or 4 that I genuinely like.
I was going to say, I think there are some of his that are really high, and
I'd be interested because I don't think it's the same ones that you would put up.
I reckon we should do it. After Shyamalan. Anyway.
After Shyamalanigans, if I can think of a cool theme song and name for it, maybe
The Sandman.
No. I don't know. No.
All right, we'll work it out.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll catch you next week with Killer Animals.
Rawr.